continuation of the first astral contact between Vincent and Isaias. I do not understand how they can draw these conclusions from the experience of other physical lives if we had the same level of consciousness as in this, that is, if we were so unconscious of the existence of lives. Go on like now, because many of them not only remember the details of past lives, but also the reason why they had to go through certain lives and trials. They also remember what happened in the periods between physical lives, when they were not yet reincarnated. There are scholars who have dedicated themselves to specifically investigate those memories of periods between reincarnations, such as psychologist Michael Newton. Dr. Newton, he specializes in inducing very deep hypnotic states in which the people remember the space between one life and the next, and the decisions that make it have led to reincarnation in precisely a certain time with a certain family and under certain circumstances. I recommend his book Life Between Lives and Journey of the Soul, and what kind of evidence and circumstances are what we need to face in this life and why. Many of these tests consist of experiencing in ourselves what we have done to others in dealing with the consequences of situations which we have provoked, and through which we become aware of the suffering or happiness that these actions have had on the others. There is evidence of all kinds, but generally have as objective to free us from selfishness and to make us grow in love. It is necessary to die or live a pre-death experience to take consciousness that we are a spirit and not a body. No, in fact, all of you have the ability to separate temporarily from your body, and so it happens in shape unconscious in a sleep stop. But there are people who are able to induce this separation in conscious form through certain relaxation techniques. Astral travel proves that the consciousness is not bound to the body. What is an astral journey? It's a temporary separation from the body. But why do you do? Questions you already know the answer to. We are by chance arrived here with this kind of experience. I was just trying to prove what someone described. One thing is theory and another is practice. I didn't eat that. Something like this happened. But it happens. Your body's not here, it's lying on your bed. But you are here. You mean we can not only live without being tied to a body, but also that by staying physically alive we can enter or get out of the body without death being produced? Exactly. What exactly is that which separates? It separates the spirit from the physical body, which, as I have already told you, is alone a coding that is used to be able to implement in the physical world. That although this separation is only temporary and always exists a link between the two that will never be broken, and that allows the return to the physical body without any kind of health problem. They call it cordon of silver. What is the silver cord? It is the point of union between the astral body and the physical body, as the umbilical cord that allows to bring vital energy to the physical body that needs it to continue with life in absence of the astral body. Clairvoyants describe this cord as a kind of very elastic thread of silver tone and extendable to the point that for so long as the astral body is separated from the physical one, the cord always resists sufficiently, and in others, words stretch to great distances when the spirit separates and travels away from the physical body. And where does the spirit go when it separates from the body? Where his thought takes him in the astral world, through a natural journey that responds to a necessary dynamic for the human development. These night visits give the person energies and experiences that help you later in your life. Physical, being assisted by spiritual entities more advanced than they advise and guide her. If you want to know more, I recommend you to read the book The Astral Projection by Oliver Fox. Astral body, astral world, spiritual entities. It waits for one. A little. This goes too fast for me. In short, I try to reply only to what you ask me for. But I endorse over what we are jumping at a thing to other one we cannot. to deepen nothing. You go away, what we can do is to interrupt the conversation for the moment because it is already now that it returns to your body. Now you already have some things which to investigate for your account and to reflect us. It looks for the books that I have advised you and tries to read them. They will be used for you like proof to believe in the fact that completely what you have lived is not a hallucination of your mind, but an authentic reality. I don't know if I'll remember everything. Don't worry. If you put your will into it, you'll remember what you need to find. Pick up the new questions that will arise in this period and then reformulate them on the next occasions when we will see if you want to. When will we see each other again? It's up to you. T depends on whether you want to continue to learn more about the topics that we have only begun to approach superficially, or if you prefer to stay as you are. As we're talking, new questions arise for me with respect to evolution, the immortality of the spirit, and much more. Save them for future occasions. What we can do is dealing with the questions by themes, although as you will see it is impossible to delve into an aspect without necessarily trespassing into another theme. The answers also suggest new questions that will require further explanation. But you have to understand that for the moment I keep a position of skepticism about what you tell me. I understand that. I know that your search for answers is sincere and that you are open to listen, otherwise I wouldn't be here with you. I feel that you have listened carefully and that you need your time to meditate on what we have been talking about. This is enough to me. See you soon, brother. Goodbye, Isaiah. And almost without giving me time to leave, he felt a strong stratone and, with the same speed as I was catapulted out, he felt as if I were throwing myself into free fall at the speed of light, until I rush over my body. The return to the body was very hard. What difference with the lightness of when I was out of the body, with the sweet and serene vibration that felt in that place by I dream. He felt cold. My head was turning. I was nauseous and heavy, as if I were wearing a lead dress of 100 pounds. At first I couldn't move about it. That's when I started to being aware of what had happened to me. The experience had me hit. I cried from emotion. That had been the most extraordinary of my life. During the following months I tried to go back to normal, but as long as I tried I couldn't. To observe things from the same point of view. Almost everything to me seemed trivial. Everyday worries, work, many people. Times I stayed as absent, without listening, without seeing this. Who was around me thinking about that experience. I want to tell people, family members or some friends, but the good sense told me to save my effort, for they would not. And they'd freak me out. I felt like a stranger, like I'm an alien. I wondered how many people they had experienced. In time doubts began to arise, and, if it was just a hallucination, a fruit of mine, imagination, to try to drive them out, I remembered something that said, Isaiah, look for the books I have counseled you and read them will serve you, as evidence to believe that everything you have experienced is not a hallucination of your mind. I started searching the internet for books, but I could not remember the authors and the titles. But in return, I remembered words and names spoken during the conversation. I searched on Google reincarnation, past lives, life after death, and there began to be names of authors and titles among which I recognized. Those whom Isaiah mentioned to me. I studied them in retail, confirming. I'll finalize what he told me. If that had been a hallucination, it was really very precise. I again wanted to meet Isaiah again, to reconfirm me, with his sweet look, to feel at peace again. Books me had helped to know that there were other people who, they tried to answer my own questions and that they had embarked on a journey to seek answers. But they also generated further questions that I would call in a agenda and mentally reviewed every now and then so as not to forget them, in case you had the opportunity to see Isaiah again. Although I found it difficult to recognize I needed Isaiah. he would continue to Ellen to me to solve my doubts because that young elder had made sure that for the first time an answer struck me so deeply. It also made me feel so good, so loved. I was still skeptical, but something inside me told me that I was undertaking I'm on the right path. That is why I began with the exercises of relaxation with the hope of returning to contact Isaiah. And I succeeded, getting out of the body again. I didn't need much effort this time. With only 5 sessions I was able to do that. I was reliving the same sensations, the same journey. And there he was waiting for me again, with his smile and the sweet look of the first time. Hey brother, to the good news. I've grown old waiting for you. Look how uncanny I got. How? But if you already had white hair the other time, don't be offended. It was a joke. You didn't think. Up here. Did we have a sense of humor? Good. How did you get back to the world? Did I miss you? Well, yeah. I wanted to see you, to be here again in this state of peace. I found the books you told me and I read them. But I still have many doubts. That makes me happy. Come on, shoot. He speaks freely. I don't know if I believe it yet, but depending on what you say, on the evolution of the spirit and from the things I could deduce from the books, there should be some kind of organized project. Quite complex. So it is. A project that includes all creation beings and everything that exists. However, for each spirit there is a program, concrete of evolution, because every being of creation is loved and is destined to be happy. In this evolution design, staff participate very many beings with varying degrees of evolution which help every spirit to walk its path. What do you mean by that? You have a spiritual family. Each of you is loved by a multitude of spiritual beings, starting with God, continuing with your spiritual guidance, which never abandons you, and from another great number of spirits. And if this seemed little to you, each of you have a soul mate, you're half a spirit, perfectly close to yourself, a perfect companion, thanks to the which you begin to hear what can be called true love. Of these spirits, someone can be reincarnated at the time you and can form part of your fleshly family or be just friends. And how can you explain that if one is so loved many times you? Do you feel so lonely? Because you live disconnected from the spirit world, ignoring your connection with other beings that are related to you, so much with those who are reincarnated at the same time as you, so much with those who help from the spiritual world. You are unconscious of your mission on earth because you are so busy seeing only what your senses allow you to see and what your mind tells you, and you are so far away from what you can feel with feelings. You have to take into account one thing, that even if you feel alone in the physical world, you are never alone as far as the world is concerned. Spiritual. It's up to everyone to discover this connection. That thin door beyond which you find your authentic life. A door that only the key to feelings can open. Ask sincerely and you will be helped to develop your sensitivity and will be reconforted from your penis. But you will need to remove your anti-more armor to be able to hear all this. Why the desire to? He who wants to remain alone and isolated from the world will be respected. Well, since you mentioned God, I have serious doubts that there is a God. Did anyone see him? Maybe you didn't see his work? The universe, life, yourself. God does not. He may be closer to you than he already is. But at the same time, it is not. It forces you to recognize him or open yourself to him. You need to be to want to hear, to perceive. But if you expect to see someone like you, your size, with eyes, face, arms and legs, then you will never recognize him, because God is much more. It's like your body cell wondered, where is the body to which I belong? And for what reason do I not see him? You're inside him, cell. But if the only thing I see are cells and still cells like me everywhere, then study your own nature, your own functioning and the relationships you build with other cells, and how they organize so wonderfully to form a whole. Then observes what forms that set. Then cell you will know, and recognize the body you are part of. So where can we find evidence of God's existence? As with the cell I told you about, first look in your own existence and then everything around you. Which one can be the origin of a being that feels and thinks, conscious of its own existence, and that of a universe so perfectly orchestrated, cannot come from nothing, because nothing cannot create something so complex and beautiful at the same time. And who could argue that such a beautiful symphony could be by randomly touching the keys of a piano? So to the likewise a thing as beautiful and complex as the universe, the human being cannot be the fruit of randomness, but of causality. But why must God be the one who created it all? Maybe not. Is there no power in nature that can create? That's right. But where do you think the power to create that has the nature? Where do the laws governing the universe come from? Recognize that in nature and in the universe there is a power of creating and making laws, the laws of physics, chemistry, and biology that organize and order it so that scientists, when they discover some unknown phenomenon, they do not attribute to nothing but try to find the cause that has it provoked. Let's say that you in your day-to-day admit that one of the laws of the universe is that there is no effect without a cause. But when you answer the question about what is the origin of the universe, or on the primordial cause, you themselves denying the law of cause-effect that you always accept as valid, you have no problem admitting that it was a effect without cause, or rather that originated from nothing. This is that. It's a countersense. That is why there must be a first cause of everything, and this is God. Sorry the insistence, but because it must necessarily be God, the one who created the whole thing. Maybe we men are not able to create beautiful and complex things. For example, music, computer, of course, because you too have the power to create. But this power, where will it come from? In the universe there are many beings in different stages of evolution, with a capacity to create more or less yours depending on their level of development. But we have to admit that if they too had a principle by the law of cause and effect had to be created by some process front, and that actually the creative power that you have created, you can only practice on something that has already been created following existing laws. So we get to a point where it's need to find a creator principle that has not been created, that it has always existed, that it will always exist, and that it has established the reed and the principles of all that exists. This is God. Well, let us admit only as a remote possibility that God can exist. In this hypothetical case, I would be curious to know who is and how is this supposed God done, so fleeting that he does not leave. See at first sight. It is from the work that you will recognize the author. You know yourself, the world that surrounds you, and then you will begin to know God. Since in the creatures are present the potential of the Creator, if all images, good human qualities raised to the most perfect level possible, then it is as if I were beginning to paint a sketch of the figure of God, which, although imperfect, will be the most advanced idea you may have of him, given your present ability. There is a very ancient proverb that to the question, how is God? Answers like you when you will be got to him. What are these qualities? Love, wisdom, justice, truth, humility, generosity, sincerity, sensitivity, understanding, compassion. Are there qualities of God that we cannot possess? Yes. The Creator is immutable, omnipotent, not created since he is. It always existed. His creature, even if it has no end, has a principle. It is changeable since it is constantly improving, and even if its capacity for progress has no limits, why it is constantly increasing, it is not infinite. And if that being is so perfect because it allows evil to exist in the world, He allows his creatures to experience freely and that they learn from their mistakes. The evil of the world does not originate with God, but from the creatures in their evolution process, and that, because of lack of knowledge of spiritual laws, acting against others, beings of creation, well, then I should learn these laws well, because I doubt very much. That can exhaust the large number of questions I have. They arise, and to which I have not yet found a satisfactory answer. And also in the world where we live there are many things that I don't understand, and that they seem tremendously unfair to me. It will be a pleasure. Get ready because we'll have a lot to talk about. If you liked the video, leave a comment and a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and see you in the next video.